public meeting like this where we actually have an audience for the new year. So I'm super excited to be here with the most spectacular board. I couldn't have chosen a better board myself, but super excited to serve this community. So welcome and thank you all for coming out. So we will start with our invocation and pledge of allegiance by Alderman Marvin Lackman. Please stand.
Please bow your head. Dear Heavenly Father, we come to you tonight in order to do your business, to do the will of your choosing to Spring Lake. We come here with open hearts. We come here with clear minds to do the business of Spring Lake because Spring Lake matters. Please be with our first responders, our fire, our police, our military, both home and abroad, so that you protect them, so that they can protect us. I say all this in your name. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Amen.
I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Are there any additions or deletions to the agenda? Alderwoman Cooper.
Yes, I'd like to delete item 6B, the North Carolina Department of Public Safety presentation. We're going to put that off on another date.
Okay. Any other additions or deletions? All right, approval of the consent items. Alderman Palacios.
I make a motion we approve the agenda as it is with the deletion presentation 6B.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? We will approve the agenda with the deletion of item 6B.
Mm-hmm.
And we will move on to our first presentation from Acela Solution. Oh, the consent items, I'm sorry. Please approve those? All right, approval of the consent items, I'm sorry. Did you make that? We need Alderwoman Southern, or I'm sorry. I keep calling you Southern. She's right here in my face, and I'm so used to seeing Alderwoman up here. I need a light. Here we go. Alderman Palacios.
I make a motion we approve the consent items.
Any discussion? We have a second. We need a.
I second that we approve of the consent items.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, well, we approve the consent items. Now we're moving on to presentation A, Acela Solutions. Rob Carl, can you please approach the podium? Oh, no, he's on Zoom, correct?
He's on Zoom, but at the moment, ma'am, he's not available. He's
Oh.
not came on yet, so you're going to skip it. Maybe he'll be on next few minutes.
Okay, well, we will move on to FTCC, the North Carolina, or FTCC Community College, Dr. Searles.
Thank you to the mayor and the council for giving us an opportunity to talk about a very important initiative that we have going in the county, which is Project Hope. Hope stands for Hope, Opportunity, Prosperity through Education. This is an initiative to increase the social and economic mobility of people in place through workforce training tied to high demand occupations that will lead to post-secondary credentials or degrees that are aligned with those employment opportunities in the county. We got started on this back in the spring in an initiative. We're one of 5 pilot colleges in the state chosen by the John M. Belk Endowment to look at reconnecting adult learners that have stopped out of education or who don't have the educational credentials to qualify for the jobs of the future in Cumberland County. we have approximately 47% of our adults that have a post-secondary credential or degree that aligns to the jobs of the future. In 2030, there are 67% of the jobs that will require a post-secondary degree or a college degree. And in North Carolina, we're woefully short of that. Cumberland County, we lag behind the state average. So in our county, there are 34% of our adult population that has some college but no degree. We've got 21% that have a high school diploma or less. So 55% of our population is not well aligned to the jobs of the future. This is an initiative about better skills, better jobs, and better pay. So what jobs are we talking about? In our area, if you will flip to the next panel, one of the high demand areas that we're targeting is construction trades. You can see the entry level wage range for electrical, plumbing, carpentry, HVAC, and masonry jobs. The next panel will show you career pathways in the automotive tech, diesel tech, collision repair, commercial truck driving, as well as commercial bus driving. Again, these are all jobs that pay close to or at a living wage salary. The third tier of jobs that we're looking at, again, the next panel please, are welding, solar installation and maintenance, heavy equipment operator, forklift driver, cybersecurity analyst, general handyman, apartment maintenance or property maintenance technicians. Again, these start at a low range of $13 an hour and go up as high as $35, $38 an hour in the cybersecurity area. Then some that are of interest, particularly to Spring Lake. If you go to the fourth panel, landscaping and horticulture, 14 to 20 bucks an hour, collision repair, 18 to 19 bucks an hour, early childhood, 10 to 18.75, computer data entry, 12 to $20 an hour. These are jobs that we've seen in the area where we've got a lot of employers that are interested in and have positions that are open and need employees and trained employees to take these jobs. In the HOPE initiative, there are a couple of things that we're doing. Adults enter college with a very particular purpose. They're looking for a job. And so we're setting up in our Tony Rand Student Center an adult learning center. And that adult learning center will basically have resources available for adult learners that are looking for jobs. They can get a career assessment to figure out which type of career they line up best for, as well as there will be success coaches there that can help them navigate the educational landscape, get registered, and be able to succeed. We will also provide wraparound services. So on campus, we have a food pantry. We have a success closet for folks that need clothing, particularly clothing, professional clothing to go for interviews. We have connections with a number of the nonprofits in the area for those, and yes, we have homeless students at Fayetteville Tech. Last we calculated, we had at least 40 students that were homeless. We connect them with the shelters in the area to be able to get them the services and help them transition through the foundation to sustainable living situations. We will also, we have a planning team that's working to develop the other thing that we are working on right now. We know that adult learners, the major thing they struggle with is managing their time. COVID-19 has really hit hard the adult population, and particularly those that work, have kids at home, and education becomes a third job, and typically they are struggling to manage time and other efforts that they need in order to reconnect. So one of the things that we're doing We recognize that one of those barriers is time. We also recognize that the other barrier is transportation. We are working on an initiative now where we potentially can provide some very deep discounted transportation assistance for folks. I'll give you a great example. We had a student that was a work-study student on campus. She was a mother, but she also was taking the paramedic program right out here at Spring Lake campus. She would work for us till 5 o'clock in the afternoon, have to get on a bus, come out here by the time the class was from 6 to 10 o'clock at night, get back on a bus at 10 o'clock, go into downtown, change over. It was an hour and a half, plus ride every night and every afternoon to get back and forth. It was something that she couldn't manage. We were able to work through the foundation, and we provided $600 for her for taxi rides back and forth. We are working with a provider that potentially, if we can work the situation out, where they're going to provide some deeply discounted transportation for some of our students that live out in the far areas of the county. The other thing we're doing, though, is we're taking our programs off campus into the community. And so that's what we're here to talk a little bit about with Spring Lake. With the town of Hope Mills, we are starting a basic construction trades program at Southview High School for adults. That was at the request of the mayor. We've been working with the mayor and the town council there. We will be offering that program at Southview High School. We got approval through Cumberland County Schools to offer that program there. We'll be taking it out into the community. We ran a survey, and it came back that the construction trades was the highest demand and had the highest interest of the population that were looking for upskilling their abilities for a job. We do have a survey, and Dr. Washington, if you've got a copy of it, we can make it available to all of the council members that we would like to circulate in your community to get a feel for exactly what types of training would be most beneficial here. We are looking at and having a conversation with the principal at Pine Forest High School to have that training at Pine Forest High School if we can't provide it through the Spring Lake campus. Part of the issue with Spring Lake is we are overloaded with paramedics. We're bringing military from all over the country into Spring Lake that are studying for their national registry. We have day classes from 8 to 5 days a week, and evening classes there as well. So we're looking to bring those out into the community. The other thing that I would tell you, our target populations, if you flip to the next slide, we are looking, as I said, to the population with some college no degree, as well as those that have a high school degree or less. We do have a major Hispanic and Latino initiative going right now. We are actually in our probably 4th cohort of Spanish-speaking classes. They're actually taught in Spanish by individuals that are certified in the electrical, HVAC, heavy equipment operations. And we've had a lot of success with that population. We're looking to take these programs out to the 9 opportunity zones and identifying in communities underutilized facilities or facilities that aren't used in the evening, where we can make arrangements to bring those training opportunities out into in close proximity to where the citizens that need that training exist. We're also looking at out-of-school youth. We've got a population of out-of-school youth in the county. We're working with one group now where we've got about 40 youth that come to a church every Wednesday afternoon. They get fed a meal. They hear from mentors. They play basketball. The leadership of that group said, we've got to do more. Many of these young individuals either have children out of wedlock, or they're married and got kids. They're trying to make it on minimum wage in service and retail, and they're having a hard time doing it. So we're working with that population now, finding resources to be able to bring them into those training programs. The other one that we're working with, that we're in now, our 6th cohort, the District Attorney Billy West came and said, we've got a lot of people in the community that have nonviolent crimes. They can't get a job because of their criminal background. We're working on an expungement initiative, Second Chance. We are actually taking, because of the legal paperwork that's required to get them expunged, we're taking our paralegal students and pairing them up with the attorneys so that that paperwork can get done and get done expeditiously. And then we're taking those individuals in and we're working through an onboarding process where they can go into a training program. We've ran 5 cohorts of training. We've taken in over 50 students that had either drug or alcohol offenses that were on the expungement area, and we've completed 5 cohorts of training. 74% of those individuals have completed the course. Out of the 74 that completed, 68% are employed in the electrical and construction trades area. And the other, another 21% of those that completed the program that aren't employed have enrolled in a curriculum area on campus. So they've decided to go into more advanced training. So we're working to build bridges between students that start out with either a GED, need a GED, or they need to go into a short-term training program and get some basic skills toward employment, where we can bridge that gap and get them into a more advanced training program to get them into a living wage job. We're also starting a women in trades program to work there, and I mentioned the hard to employ. One of the things that we're doing as well is we're looking to, if you would go to the next one, increase the number of high school students that graduate and enter college. In North Carolina, we have a leaky pipeline. So if you look and look at 100 ninth grade students, by the time they migrate to graduation and by the time they've gone, there's only 3 out of 10 that actually enter college. And so it is a very leaky pipeline. We are working hard to get in front of all the youth that don't have a college plan. As you well know, the long leave commitment provides students with up to $2,800, almost free tuition at the community college to start their college career. And we're targeting those students. One of the big things that we see is students don't complete their FAFSA application to look at the resources that are available for them to pay for college. In the state or in the county, we're less than 60% of our students actually complete a FAFSA. So we have gotten some resources from the Cumberland Community Foundation. We're doing a lot of recruiting to get students into campus or going out to the high schools and incentivizing them to complete that FAFSA so that they can become eligible for Pell Grants that can help pay for college. The other thing that we're looking to do, if you'll flip to the next panel, is we understand that most of these individuals, one of the challenges that they have in terms of going to education, it's a trade-off. If I go to education, I'm not able to work. And so we're looking at work-based learning opportunities where they will be paid while they're learning in the opportunity. We're looking at accelerated training over an 8 to 16 week period of time with courses that are offered in the evenings and weekends as well as during the days to meet them where they are and get them trained. We have some potential scholarship opportunities. And we've got a collaborative going with the Cumberland Community Foundation to help bridge some of that gap over the next 5 years. It's not a lot of money. It's $50,000 a year each year, but we're working with Fayetteville State. We're working with Cumberland Community Foundation, the Workforce Development Center here in the county to kind of bring all the resources to bear to work on this problem together. Next panel, please. So the one thing that we are doing, this is an accelerated training program. There's a first couple of weeks that is an onboarding process so that we will bring individuals in. We will actually do assessments of their aptitudes and interests. We will explore career pathways with them. We will actually sit down with them and help them set goals and develop an action plan and their commitment toward the education that they're moving. We will also start some of that technical training that most of them will graduate with some type of industry recognized credential, like an OSHA or in cybersecurity, a Red Hat certification. We've got Google certifications that we're doing with Google as well. The technical training is over 96 hours. We have been talking, and we've got a advisory group of 12 major employers, and I'll name those in a minute, that we're working with. And one of the things those employers have said is that we need to get them on the job quickly. And so we're looking to bring them on the job in that first 3 to 7 weeks, where they will be on the job learning but also getting paid. And we've got a commitment from the Workforce Center to use on-the-job training dollars to support that. We're also working with the county through some American Recovery Plan dollars that potentially will be available to be able to get these individuals into a learning environment on the job and get them some income coming through so that they can be successful. We're also looking at that latter part of an internship if it's necessary to get them onboarded and get them fully productive. And that internship could go up to a period after the training of up to 3 to 4 months to help them get 100% productive before the business has to actually start paying full out of pocket for the cost of that employee. So the student onboarding process, next one please, is very important because the employers are all saying, we need to know what the commitment is. We need to know that they're going to show up on time. We're going to need to know that they're coachable. We've got a very trained case management person on site that will be working with students to make sure that that's happening. Our business partners, if you go to the next slide, these are businesses that we're already working with. So the first, Blanton's Heating and Air, Hardin's Plumbing, Bernard Irby Electric Company, Highlands Construction Company, there's another HVAC and electrical company that's owned by a Hispanic individual. They're all on our advisory committee, and they are making commitments that they, once they complete the training, they will at least interview all these folks and be onboarding these individuals. The other companies are companies that we're working with in the local area in order to place people in jobs and help them get into living wage jobs. But it doesn't stop here. Go to the next slide, please. We are also working with these national companies. Red Hat, we just announced back in latter November, a Red Hat Academy. We've been working with Red Hat since 2004 on the curriculum side, but we now have credentials in their Red Hat Administrator, Ansible, and OpenShift software where they have jobs or jobs with their vendors that they're looking to fill. And that they provide credentials for these individuals who will provide the training. The National Institute for Innovation and Technology, this is an industry association that's tied to the semiconductor industry. We were sought out by this company to come and ask us to participate. We're one of 2 community colleges in the state that's working with NIIT associated with the semiconductor industry. There's one company called Instar Global that already said we don't need people with degrees, we need them with basic foundational skills in electrical, mechanical, and if we can get those students trained, we will bring them on board. They start out at $22 an hour plus benefits. They travel all over the country, both commissioning and decommissioning equipment in the semiconductor industry. And if you've noticed, we are being courted in this state just right across the county line for a major semiconductor company that's looking at North Carolina for a location. We're also working with a couple of other companies in the business analytics area, as well as a solar installation company that's very interested in hiring some of our graduates. So the goal of delivering, if you'll flip to the very last panel, is really delivering hope to individuals. And that hope is getting them trained for better with better skills so they can get better jobs and have better paying jobs so they can support their family. So thank you for your time. We've got a survey that we're going to administer, and I think Dr. Washington has said we can administer this survey. It'll be on our website. We'll do all the data calculation and everything and report back out to you. We're also working with the principal at Pine Forest High School about offering that training here locally in your community. And we'd be very interested in engaging with some of your employers in this area so that we're able to fine-tune the training program specific to the needs that they have in the area. So thank you, and with that, I'll stop and answer any questions that you might have.
Thank you so much, Dr. Searles. Are there any questions amongst the board? No questions? Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you.
We will move on to our, okay, we will move on to our presentation from Acela Solutions. Mr. Rob Carl is on via Zoom.
Hello, everyone. How are you?
Hello. Hello. Hello.
I am going to get this. Got a couple other folks with us. As you can see Mark popping up there. Hi, everyone.
Hello.
Mark, did you just share that, or did you share it?
I didn't share that.
I shared it. Are you changing it up?
Yeah, it's changed up a little bit. Do you mind if I share?
Go ahead.
It's about 3 slides, I think, that are a little different.
Yeah, if you could. I'm not allowed, saying it's disabled. If you could allow me to, that would be fantastic.
Click the little arrow. The little arrow next to it.
I think you have to, what is it, under participants there, and then Town of Spring Lake, more, no, I don't know which one it is myself. Do you recall, Mark?
I don't. Sometimes that just is, not always enabled perfectly, but you can just enable sharing. And then if you ask to share again, Rob, it may prompt.
Yeah, it's just saying it's disabled, even when I click on share. So,
some of the cities do that from an IT perspective. So we're okay with this slide. It'll work out. It's, unless you've got, I forgot if it was, Mayor Anthony or Melissa that maybe you sent the updated slide to, but.
yeah, I sent it to Melissa, and I guess let's kick it off. So, if you could, whoever was hosting.
Melissa, if you can click the little drop down arrow next to the green on the bottom of the Zoom meeting. There's a little arrow, go over a little bit. You see that? No, don't click the green, click next to it. Thank you. It's okay. Yeah. And now you can let multiple people. There you go.
Thank you.
No problem. Zoom is, it's
Okay.
pandemic, so we all.
There it goes. All right, now let's see if I can do this right. Is everyone seeing, are you seeing presenter view, or are you seeing just the presentation?
I see just the presentation, Rob. It's not the one that you and I edited. It's the original one. That's okay. I'm seeing slide 4. There we go. That's the main page.
Yeah, I think we're good. Okay. Everybody, I appreciate the time. Mayor Anthony, again, congratulations to you. And I know I've chatted with you a couple of times, and I think you certainly have some interest in the service request management piece of things. I think you mentioned to me, see something, say something, and I want to thank Melissa, obviously, for working with me to get us slotted in here, to have a little bit of time. We're going to go as quickly as we can, and hopefully at the end there's time for questions. If not, certainly, Mayor, I guess I'll follow up with you then at the conclusion of this, or with Melissa, and we'll kind of go from there. So thank you all so much for the time, and let's just kind of jump into it so we can get through this. So what do? Well, Excel that we power governments to govern their future is really what we do. We help governments working really with city, local, county governments to help facilitate and streamline the interaction between your citizens, your business owners, your developers, to really streamline that process and modernize it. So much of everything today is still paper-based. Somebody's got to come in and hand off a document and so forth. So we really work with the governments to help, streamline that. We want it to be a faster process, more interactive process, and hopefully ultimately it's providing a better service to your citizens. So who are we? We've been around for 20 plus years. I think it's coming up on 25. We do have 9 offices. Our headquarters in San Ramon. We've grown to nearly 500 employees now, and something we really hang our hat on is the amount of money we spend on R&D. It's important to us. We know your environment's constantly changing. Nothing stays the same too long. There's new ordinances, new codes, things change. And so we need to change with you, provide the solution that our customers are looking for. So we do spend about twice the industry average on research and development. So it's very important to us that we keep developing with what our customers tell us they need. We've got more than 2,200 customers, and we figure we serve about 39 million citizens, use our service across all of our customers and all the citizens that those cities and towns support. We work closely with Microsoft. We're a gold partner. I'll talk a little bit about that more in just a minute. And one of the big things that we feel is critical is new training, right? So we've got our new training center. We work with our partners all the time on training, but more importantly, we work with our customers. We want to make sure that the solution is not purchased and then not fully implemented, because that doesn't benefit anybody. So we really want to make sure we take that side of it, very important, the training aspect. What's our focus? As I said, we've been around for 20 plus years, really focusing on state and local. We don't work in the federal space. It's purely state and local. We listen to our customers. We want to understand what do they want to see. And again, that goes back to then the development dollars we put into it to build the right solution. And we are that. We are a solutions company. We don't. We look at it that we don't have a product. We have a solution, right? All of our customers have problems, different things they want to overcome. We want to deliver a solution that's part of the fix, not just some product that does this. And we want to work with you to build that partnership. As I mentioned earlier, we work with Microsoft. Our solution, almost everything, I guess, is moving to the cloud. We still have an on-premise solution, but we do partner with Microsoft. We utilize their Azure platform. That allows for a lot of the different things we can provide you, from mobile use, etc., is having that platform. And then, the benefit is you have, all the great things that Microsoft delivers, right? They've got the infrastructure. They spend tons of money on research and development, and they've got a very stable, secure platform. I believe the latest numbers are 99.99% as their uptime. So again, we're your trusted partner. Hopefully, you're going to hear a little bit more now. I'm going to hand it off to Mark and let him kind of talk about the solution specifically. Certainly, we're going to address service request management, but we also want to kind of high level some of the other things that may be beneficial. Certainly, in listening to what I was just hearing about the HOPE project, it sounds like there's certainly going to be a push to have potentially more folks in the trade. So maybe there's licensing that comes along with that we can help streamline that process for you. So let me kick it off to Mark. Mark is the Senior Director of Sales. He's actually my boss. So great guide, and let me kick it off to you, Mark, and you can, walk through, a little bit about our solutions.
Thank you. Yeah, thanks everyone. Really appreciate the City of Spring Lake giving us this time, and if nothing else, just to whet your appetite and us to talk a little bit about citizen engagement, digitally, more efficient staff, as well as how our cities getting there over time or rapidly, however they want to move. And we could talk about a little bit about how that with Spring Lake. So thanks for flipping the slide. So Acela over time has built an entire platform. And if you see the lower blue bar on the right, that's the Acela Civic platform. But what really makes it unique and different than other vendors out there is it's purpose-built for state and local government, and from mid-sized cities and small cities all the way up to, City of New York or City of San Diego. The unique thing about it is we based on all of the kind of best practices that we've built over 20 plus years, we've got a lot of people with a lot of experience in local government. Everything from city managers and CIOs that were at the local government that are with us, town managers and aldermen and city managers that come to Acela because of what we've provided. And a lot of that is getting the citizens engaged. So we built this platform over time, has made it much more pre-built and configured for local cities based on all the information we've learned. And so it's pretty cool that what we've done is, if you go up now to the upper left-hand side, there's basically a public access portal, and that means a business person, anyone in business that needs a license, anybody, that's a citizen that's, wants to engage with the staff at the city. It could be a builder that's building an apartment complex or a few homes. It could be a resident that's putting up a fence. It could be any of those things. There's an easy to use access portal that just integrates with your current website. It kind of looks, we build it so it looks really similar to what you've already got, and then it's kind of seamless. But that connects them to be able to submit a 311 request, to submit something that says, look, I'm seeing dumpsters or trash cans that are overflowing. I'm seeing, grass that's too high, a fire hydrant that's, come dislodged. All those things, and they can either submit it as a logged in resident or as a non-logged in resident. They could just submit it anonymously. And then when you go to, building the communities, and you can see the blue across the top, the blue bar, and then there's down each column, there's basically 4 columns. In building communities, we really consider that, one of our civic applications that have planning in there, building, so planning and land management, building, all the building things that come with that, including, code and plan review and all that stuff, service management or requests that come from the citizens. We can also, I'll be honest, a lot of our mid-sized cities, those that are 8,000 population, 14,000 population, 22,000 population, they're really starting with building communities and just doing either the planning and building module or service management. And that includes, things like code enforcement. You got code enforcers that can use mobile, or you've got inspectors that are going out on site. It includes things like, the citizen and it being able to go enter in their, request for a permit, and then finding out, oh, these are the permit types. Yes, this is what I need with that request. And it really eliminates the time that that citizen used to spend on the phone with City Hall, just figuring out what kind of permit do I need. And now they're, submitting the right kinds of permits, or submitting a request that can be followed up with a work order if it's just a broken fire hydrant. So those are the kinds of things where we really get efficient. What this shows, though, is if you go into the column 2, growing businesses, or go into column 3, protecting citizens through fire prevention or environmental health, which is typically done at the county level, things like built natural structures. But all of those things can be included in the civic platform if needed. A lot of our mid-sized cities just use that first column, and then they grow into, we're going to license businesses as well. We do have maybe as, there's 18 more cities in the US that are considering adult cannabis legalization, right? So those are things we do for many of the larger cities, is help them with their beverage control and their cannabis regulation as well. But those are things that we can grow into. On the left-hand side, I want to go back to that left-hand pillar or left-hand side. The public can access this through an online portal, but what's also great is then the staff has basically a task interaction every day. There are workflows there that tells, an inspector, hey, you've got these 4 inspections, or somebody that's going out in the field, hey, you've got, a whole map worth of things to do. It's all mapped against either a GIS service or address parcel data if you need it to be. It really makes the staff efficient on how do I get this workflow without using lots of emails or paper forms? How do I get this workflow to move to the next person that's the approver, as well as automatically notify the citizen of what's happening, and automatically notify the work crew that's going to go out and fix that fire hydrant. So Acela is we're something that helps the city track all things. Anything that's a thing at the city, whether it's a fire hydrant or a trash can or a business license or a business, ownership or, inspections for fire sprinklers or inspections for, easements and right of way. Whatever those things are, Acela helps you track that. And then of course that bottom orange on the left, bottom orange tab it really shows about mobile access, so that the work crews and code officers get to get out in the field, access anything they want mobilely, take a picture of that, actually virtually get, if they're actually doing an inspection on site, we took a picture of this, and yes, you get the resident to sign, yes, I need to fix this, whether it's a backflow system for culinary water or sprinkler water, or it's a, something bigger that is impacting, citizens, you can have them sign that right there, or, automatically it just goes back into the Acela platform and begins the workflow of what needs to happen on that workflow. At the bottom, Acela's backs all this up by analytics and reporting that I know boards and mayors love, right? Which, there's ad hoc reporting, which just enables you to say, well, how many permits that, were applied for got rejected? Or how many are in outstanding status where something still needs to happen? How many plan reviews did we do, and how many are still pending? What are the number of work orders for just, trash, or the number of work orders for each specific item? Very reasonable way to kind of get that into analytics or a report that is managed. And then lots of basically interaction with many other, capability for interaction with many other systems. If you use something like Laserfish to, store all your documents, or as one city does, they use Laserfish to store some documents, and they use the basement across the street to store a whole bunch of other documents, and then they use City Hall to store a whole bunch of other documents, and they're still a hybrid. Some's digital, some's, in a basement. And so we understand that as well. Let's skip to the next slide. Well, before we do that, any questions on kind of this slide from the mayor, Mayor Anthony, or any of the board?
No questions at this time.
No problem. We'll move ahead, and I want to be respectful of time, so if it's okay with you guys, we'll go pretty quickly through some of these benefits. We described some of those already. As you know, with our best practices over 25 years, we do a few things with that. Because of that, we're able to bring cities to shorter time of value, because our partners are super well trained, our professional services team, our technical support, we understand cities. And so we've engineered that to, the software comes pre-configured 70+% out of the box. The rest of that configuration is we've left open because, we've left that super configurable because every city operates a little differently. Every city has a different fee structure. Every city has a different naming convention for what they call a hydrant or a trash compactor or a trash bin or a, overgrown lot. So, there's always technical support. And every 2 years we do major upgrades, but we're always tweaking behind the scenes. And that's why software as a service is so important, because we're always tweaking the software behind the scenes so that it gets better and better and better without having to have, server upgrades and reinstall software, et cetera. So that's the benefit of SaaS. Let's skip to the next. Thanks, Rob. We talked a little bit about this. That first column is, you can automate and track plan reviews, zone requests, code enforcement, get the citizens happier quicker, as well as make the staff more efficient. If we're using building, it improves the time to review permits, certificates of occupancies, if you're growing or if you're managing growth, either way. And then obviously Acela, what we call SRM, service request management, which is just 311 requests. But those become important because not only do you, if you're getting a lot of those or even a few of those, some of those come with specific actions, and some of those come with things that you might want to assign work orders to. And without, a platform or a software to help you trigger those workflows and those work orders, it's all it really is a collection of complaints rather than an actual trigger of workflow. So that's why Acela service request management is important, and it's, pretty seamless on mobile or any device or on the website where a citizen can do that. Let's get
Mark, just real quick,
Yeah.
and Mayor Anthony, that specifically, I think, is, my initial understanding and talking with you, that's really the area that, the see something, say something would fall under the service request management. So, whether
That's right.
you look at planning, building, et cetera, that stuff can be added later, whatever. This was really that initial component you were looking at. And we can certainly chat more about that, offline, et cetera, but just wanted to point that out. So back to you, Mark.
Great point. And yeah, like you said, cities will start with certain things, right? In this case, we just want to talk a little bit about, that's okay, Rob, you can flip through. We've got probably 20 to 30, customers in North Carolina, probably 50 or 100 or more across the Carolinas and the Mid-Atlantic. And, one of the things that we notice in every one of these interactions with the cities is I want you to jump down to bullet 4, reduced inspector expected time of arrival by 62%, right? Decreased foot track to the office, bullet 5, decreased office foot traffic and phone inquiries. I have somebody in Montana that's actually adding one of the modules for Acela because they specifically want to reduce, and it's actually the ACA, what we call Acela Citizen Access plus SRM, Service Request Management. They specifically want to reduce the phone calls that city staff is getting, and they're going to try to do that by 2 to 3 hours per day. And we know in Denver and other places, we've reduced it probably almost 50% of the amount of inquiries and time spent on the phone, because now they can go submit their items online, right? So it's a big help to kind of enable staff to do the other things that they wanted to do when they got there for the day, but they wound up taking phone calls. So, and some of which are great, and some of which kind of go nowhere because it's just a builder or a citizen asking how to get to the right place on the website rather than just getting there and doing what they need to do. So we can move on that one. Again, lots of other things that you could add to as needed. But a lot of the cities that we notice that have a kind of a perspective to be digitally progressive and, engage with customers, wind up adding these in short order. And it's not difficult if you approach. Let's go to the next one. Rob, do you have a comment on this?
Yeah, is there a question or no?
There's no questions.
Okay.
Thank you. One of the things that, we want to reinforce is, not all solutions fit all cities. Number one. One of the things we do, and we are happy to dedicate, some of our time, our sales and engineering resources, as well as partners resources from professional services and things like that, to really evaluate what are your top core needs, top 3 or 4 core needs, And are we the right fit as a software partner for you? Added to that, we also have a long line of strategic and, excellent partners that are vetted, that are always up to date on our newest technologies. Obviously, Microsoft and the government Azure platform, and Azure is the, hosting service that's, data centers and redundancies and super securities. A lot of cities are going with Azure government platform so that they can avoid audit and, just make sure they're super secure in terms of all the check boxes that you need to be web secure these days. And Microsoft does that for us and for, the cities that we provide. We also are partnered with GIS Esri. We can take all kinds of GIS data, whether it's in a flat file or direct, bi-directional partnership with Esri GIS. So ESRI is a major partner. We have trained and worked with literally dozens, if not up to about 100 kind of resellers and services partners that, act as our, additional arm to enable services, professional services, and that's that green bar there. And then we're always innovating with our partners, things like payment processors like Forte, things like plan reviewers like DigiPlan or ePlansoft, middleware connection like Velocimo. Obviously, you see Laserfish and Adobe in there as well, and those are just very native to Acela, related to many things. So if you see something in there that you use already, that's kind of a common thing is city will raise its hand and say, oh yeah, we use OpenCities for our, one of our websites or our only website, or we use Laserfish to store our documents, or, so that's pretty common for us too. But the importance is we've got a partner program that we put a lot of money, resources, and effort into to make sure that we're all cutting edge. So that's that on the partner front. And again, we want to innovate with you, and we also want to make sure that, whatever you're considering, are we the right partner? And within a series of a couple or a few meetings, that's something that you can determine. And we're happy to do that with you and provide those resources so that you get a good look at us under the covers and make those determinations. So next slide. This is our customers in the U.S. I actually live in Utah here, and if you look, that one purple dot, we've got some work to do in Utah, we've got some work to do in Montana, but certainly the Carolinas and up and down the Atlantic seaboard in Florida, we sure do, in California, we sure do have lots and lots of customers. And, as we go through the cycles, if the city or the mayor, if you need somebody to reference or talk to about, their experience or also how they use specific A, B, and C, we're happy to do that. And I think we're getting near the end, so I won't take a whole lot more time. Rob, let's advance to the next slide and see how close we are. Yeah, trusted partner, right? We're able to, we use SaaS technology. Occasionally, we'll implement a new customer with on-premise based software. Most aren't asking for that. I'll skip right to the, bottom bullet. We're experienced with our technical staff that evaluates with you and scopes with you your needs. We have technical support and lots of training assets and programs, both online and virtually and on-site. We've got a big customer community portal. We've got thriving partners that can help enable you. And then one of the things that, we pride ourselves on is for our mid-sized cities. I run a department that's specifically enabled to help mid-sized cities. And what that does is allows us to create pricing schedule that is favorable to mid-sized cities where, we know mid-sized cities don't use, can't use, don't want $1 million software package that some of the bigger cities would use. So, we definitely scale to all sizes, and, we've got a great infrastructure to enable that. So we're willing to work with almost any budget, really. And so that's all we've got on that. And if you have other questions about anything from, ARP funding to, how other cities use Acela software to other case references or case studies, we're happy to do that. Again, this is sorry we couldn't give you like a full demonstration in 30 minutes. It's just not probably appropriate because we don't know, all the things that you'd like or need, but we wanted to give you a sense of who is Acela. So hopefully that got us partway there.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Are there any questions from the board? I did. Are you buzzing in? Okay. There it goes. Alderwoman Cooper.
Thank you. I did have a question. Could you send us the names of a couple of towns in North Carolina that are around our size that uses your product?
Absolutely.
All right, thank you.
This is, yeah, and I won't say, Durham and Charlotte, because those are the big ones that we've got. But those are some of our customers. Usually we like to kind of pull up some that are nearby you. And I don't know that well if it's Pinehurst or Wendell or Reedsville or High Point, but some of those are other cities. I think our best bet there, Concord's another one, but our best bet there is to, get that to you, Mayor Anthony, and to others. We'll just, ask our counterpart peer that handles the customer side of the equation. Hey, can you talk to me a little bit about, a couple cities that, Mayor Anthony can call or whomever? And was that you, Mayor, that asked that?
No, that was one of our Alderwoman Cooper.
Okay, thank you. Thank you. So happy to do that. We've, like I said, we've got probably 20 customers in North Carolina, and so I'm happy to get you maybe a couple of those, as well as a couple of folks that maybe just installed or just put in, and whether that's Florida or Texas or North Carolina, we can get you that as well.
Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. And it might be helpful also if you have that request to send to Rob, which alderman had that request, and we would then say, okay, so based on what you want to know, like, well, how easy or hard was it to implement? Or how did you use this for service request? Or tell me about planning. How did you change a cell to work for you specifically for the planning department? So if there's specifics, we like to refine that and get it down to, Stephanie Brenham or Stephanie at Brenham, Texas would be great to speak to so-and-so because she'd talk a little bit about how they're doing it for planning. And somebody else from Western Florida might be good to talk to you about service request management, and somebody from North Carolina might be able to talk to you about the fire inspection, something like that.
So, and just to make, I got it right, Alderwoman Cooper, is that correct?
Yes, that's correct.
Okay, and I'll make sure, Mayor, I know you have my contact information, so does Melissa, but I'll make sure that, and she can, circulate the slide deck. She's got a copy of it, but certainly feel free to share my information. And, I guess, are there any other questions?
I do have a quick question. You briefly said the magic word ARPA. Are there any communities now using their ARPA funding to purchase Acela software? And if they are, we need to contact them too, so we can, kind of figure out how they do it.
Absolutely. Yeah, we've got a couple of slides on that, but I don't think they go into enough detail for you. But Rob and I have a 5-slide packet that says, how do communities use ARPA? What are the cities that have already gotten ARPA funds distributed? And then the ones we know about are cities that are 50,000 in population and above. And then what I do know is that those ARPA legislation was written loosely enough that you can designate what you want to use it for, and certainly technology upgrades, citizen engagement are absolutely part of that. In fact, I know Polk County, Florida paid for their entire implementation and either 18 months worth or 24 months worth of software with ARPA only. And then their third year, they had enough budget to pay for year 3 with ARPA only. So we do have examples of cities that have already used ARPA, but we also have kind of a little bit of like reading material you could read up on ARPA. And just as a anecdotally, I was talking to a city, let's see, they were about, I think they were 16,000 population, and we just had mentioned ARPA, and he said, the city manager said to me, oh yeah, well, we don't need that because we already got our ARPA check. So that is the first time I've heard of a city below 50,000 saying, we didn't have to apply, that we didn't even have to do a grant or an application, we just got the money deposited. So, you know, I think there are probably some workings that you need to do with your CFO, your finance people, and we'll get you the documentation on ARPA as soon as we can. There's, I think, the back slide of the side of those slides you saw, it just talks about the first allocation of ARP funding being in 2021, and that's half of it, and then the second half being in 2024. You can apply early for that. They're not going to give it out. But the first part of that ARP funding has been distributed to the cities and counties, at least in that larger city size. And so today was the first day I've heard that a small size city also just automatically got their ARP check. And it is usable for software, and it is also usable for citizen engagement. So we've had our attorneys and also a few other consultants walk through all of the documentation, probably about whenever it came out. I believe that was mid 2020, and they determined that, you know, it's been written pretty loosely so that cities can take advantage of it.
Yeah. So we'll certainly get to the information, as well as some information on other similar sized cities in North Carolina, and maybe even beyond that, right? But certainly keep it to neighboring states if there's not somebody. We're trying to find somebody, a couple folks that are right kind of in your same size, and go from there. So are there any other questions?
And who should we respond back to with that documentation?
Please send it to Melissa. Melissa,
Okay.
Thank you so much for your time. We appreciate you, and we'll definitely be in touch.
Absolutely. Thanks so much. I appreciate it. And, I'll work through Melissa, but certainly any questions that pop up, I'm here. And then, Mayor Anthony, if it's all right with you, in the next day or two, I'll follow up with you and just kind of get your general thoughts and what you kind of see as potential next steps.
Absolutely.
Okay, perfect. Thank you all so much. Don't work too hard. Hopefully you guys get out of there a little before 10 o'clock.
Hopefully.
Appreciate your time.
Take care. Bye-bye.
Take care. Good night. And we will have our final presentation from Cumberland County Schools, Dr. McCullough.
Good evening, Mayor Anthony and members of
evening.
the Board of Aldermen. Good evening. I'm very pleased that you invited me here. And what I'm going to do this evening is to give you an update of some events that will be taking place within Spring Lake that you should be aware of and should start thinking about, and especially in the audience, all those who have children in the school system, or if you don't have children in the school system, you taxpayers, you should be very cognizant of what the school board is getting ready to do. As most of you are aware, 2 years ago now approximately, we moved T.C. Barron students to W.D. Brown. And that was because we had some conditions at that school, T.C. Barron, that said that for the safety of our children and students, it's best to move them to another location. Well, we're in the process now where the board is getting ready to decide what are we going to do with the students from T.C. Barron that are now attending W.D. Brown. We were presented on last Tuesday 4 options from the school. And one thing, let me just say this so that those in the audience and you understand. Board members, we represent a board. And our responsibilities are is for policy. If a school bus is late, you can call me and I'll help work on it, but that's not my responsibility, okay? That goes to the school. When it comes to school closings and things of that nature, that's where the board steps in. Now, that everybody understand what I can and what I cannot do, okay? What I'm gonna do is to evening is, I think this is very crucial. It was presented to us last Tuesday. First time I heard about the reassignment plan, and that reassignment plan is to, before the next school year, determine what are we gonna do with the students from T.C. Barron. There were 4 plans presented, and I'm gonna focus on the last one because that's the one that affects you most. And this plan is one I support. I haven't even read all the information, but I support it up front because I think it's the right thing to do. And that is to move the kids, students at T.C. Barron, back into the city of Fayetteville to local schools. That will now open up a population group of numbers that can now encompass Lillian Black. Lillian Black is a school that we need to close. Okay? Lillian Black is a school we need to close. And this board member here is for closing Lillian Black. It will also open up enough seats where that we can close Manchester Elementary. Okay? This board member, I stand before you, I'm for closing those 2 schools, moving it to W.T. Brown, moving T.C. Barron schools back into the schools in Fayetteville. Now, the board was given this packet, and it's about a 1/4 inch thick. And we're to go through it to determine what would then be the best location for the students, based upon cost and everything of that nature. You will find that there may be some board members, because this question came up during our board meeting, and I would encourage all of you and all of you, please, when you have some time, go to YouTube, look up our last board meeting. You don't have to listen to all of the committees, but listen to the ones that I'm talking about this evening and what the discussion was, because this whole packet was presented, but it's too long to do here this evening. But you need to stay on top of what's happening in the school system, okay? We had an issue where they wanted to, we had 5 board members wanted to eliminate the 2.0 GPA for our students for after school activities, okay? That did not sit well with the community. And the community let that be known to Dr. Collins, superintendent of schools, the school board members, and especially those 5 members that wanted to make that change. I was one of 4 that voted against that, was not for that change. I love sports. Sports are important, but we are an education institution. Education, for me, and it should be for all the other board members and for all of you, should be top priority, okay? Sports are good, and I love sports. As soon as I leave tonight, I'm gonna go and see what Alabama or Georgia is doing, okay? I have no no dog in that fight, okay? But to get into college, you gotta at least make it 2.0, okay? You can't get there with a D. You gotta at least have a C. And some of the most prestigious institutions, you're gonna have trouble getting there unless your parents went there or something, or your parents built a building or some of that nature that you can rely on. But anyway, please, when you get a chance, go to YouTube, pull up our last board meeting, see what was said about the reassignment plan, and there you will see all the information. whatever questions you may arise out of that experience, hold them, and at some future point, I'll promise you, I'll come back and I will answer those questions for you. But also what will take place is there will be meetings in the community on the actions that the board is anticipate making before those are made. And I'm pushing that the community gets involved. It did not get involved with T.C. Barron. That was a decision made, it happened, and the parents were told this is what's going to happen. That's not the way I want to see the school system run. Okay? And so, again, that's my update for you this evening. Please, pay attention to what the school system is doing. We had, as you all aware, prior to this year, we had 1 year of virtual learning. And I knew that that was hurting the education of our students. On October the 4th, the Department of Public Instruction issued a report card. And the report card is a report card of, you can look up any school in North Carolina and you can see what the performance of those students are. Just go to the DPI website. I went there as soon as I found out that they had updated that information and it was now available to the public. Looked up Cumberland County, and the first thing that I found was I wanted to find out what the overall report card said about our students. The overall grade was 36-point-some%. I think it was like 36.6%. Okay, don't hold me to that point, but 36-point-some%. I knew it would be bad, but that's worse than I thought. Okay? Now, being a black male, you know where I'm going next, right? I'm gonna find out what these black kids are doing. So I looked them up, 26.1%. Now, look, let me tell you this. If you have students, 26.1%, they're not learning anything, okay? And they will move on through the system, they will graduate, but they're not gonna know anything, okay? They're not gonna be prepared to be successful in life. And what I want is every child, regardless of their race, ethnicity, gender, whatever, I want them to leave the school system prepared to meet the challenges of life and be successful. I used to teach over at Fayetteville Tech until I became a board member. And I would always tell my students, look, I'm gonna do everything I can to make you successful, and if you become a millionaire, which I hope you will, I'm not gonna be jealous of you, I'm gonna be happy for you. All that I would tell my students, I ask of you, is if you see me walking down the street and we near a cafe, and you got your millions that you've made, and you see me, just offer me to go in the cafe and buy me a cup of coffee. That's all I want.
Thank you, sir.
Maybe a little piece of pastry on the side. But that's it, you know? So, stay tuned. There will be meetings in this community, and I would tell you to focus on what's going to happen to the students in Spring Lake. T.C. Barron, you shouldn't worry about, okay, because those going to go back to schools in the city. And with that, I thank you again for having me. I'm not going to take up a lot of your time. Some of the presentations before me were important, and they were long, okay? So if there's any questions, I'll be glad to answer them.
Any questions from the board?
I have a question. I know you said there are gonna be some meetings, happening
Yes, the
soon.
school board will be scheduling meetings in the community here in Spring Lake. And I will be out encouraging residents of Spring Lake to come out and speak. You know, listen to what they have to say. But if you disagree with something, hey, disagree with it, okay? Don't think that you got to accept something that somebody says. Put up that fight, you know? And if you win, great. And if you lose, you can walk away saying, I did my best. okay? And for most of us, if we do our best and we don't succeed, we still can walk away and be proud. Any other questions? Go.
Not necessarily a question, but
No.
I support the closing of Manchester and Lillian Black, and I definitely want to advocate that for our community and our citizens because I feel that they deserve a fair opportunity to education. I'm a product of Spring Lake, Manchester, and it's time for us to give our community what they need, and that's a better school.
It is. It is. W.T. Brown is a much better school. I visited Lillian Black and you know, I just had to shake my head. I haven't visited Manchester, but I've heard that it's about the same.
Exactly.
Okay? And I don't know if all of you know, when I'm not from this area originally. I moved here in '93. And as I traveled around as a board member, and even before that, I used to see a lot of little schools all over Fayetteville. And I'd never seen that in my life. I said, why do they have so many little schools? And all of them seem to be built back in the 60s and 70s. And I just learned probably 8 months ago, I was talking to a lady, and she said, Charles, the reason that exists is because there weren't always one school system in Cumberland County. There were two school systems. One was the Fayetteville schools, Fayetteville City schools, and then there was the county. And even though the lovely young lady that I'm married to was from Fayetteville, I met her in Connecticut, I asked her, I said, you never said anything to me? She said, well, you never asked, okay? But I asked her, I said, well, E.E. Smith was known as one of the really great schools, especially in the Black community. And I asked her, I said, where did you go? She said, I went to Ann Chestnut. I said, why didn't you go to E.E. Smith? Because I hear so much about E.E. Smith. She said, well, I went there because my friends went to Ann Chestnut. And so when they decided to go to Ann Chestnut, that was you could choose in high school where you want to stay in Fayetteville or go to a kind of school. Wow. And they chose that, and they had bus that would pick them up and take them to Ann Chestnut. So now I understand, and let me tell you, Charles McKellar, this board member, I'm up for re-election this year. I have a good chance of being re-elected. And my goal is to build some new schools and get rid of a lot of these little schools, okay? So I will close with that. Ladies and gentlemen, I wish you best, stay safe, and good evening.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. You got the board excited with this. You got some applause for new schools. We like that type of talk here. Awesome. So we will move on to new business. I will entertain a motion to approve the resolution for the Fort Bragg Regional Limb. Oh, it's a presentation? I'm sorry. This is my first time, you guys. Ms. Willem Weber.
Good evening, Mayor, Board of Aldermen. This was previously on an agenda in November, and it is back before this board tonight for the first time, actually. So I'll go over quickly what it is. RUAC is the board that reviews the development in this area. Spring Lake is a charter member of that board committee. The bylaws have not been updated since 2005, so they've spent about the past 2 years updating these. And some of the things that were updated was the composition of the board of directors, the officers, and things dealing with committees. Again, this is a separate entity that Spring Lake is just a member of, and they have asked all of their member governments to review and approve these bylaws. So I'll be happy to answer any questions that you have.
Any questions? I'm sorry. Alderman Palacios.
Thank you. Okay, so I know at the last meeting we had talked about Spring Lake's involvement as a member of the RULAC. Did we learn anything different other than we are a member?
So we're a member just like all the other member governments of it. Our attorney didn't review the bylaws because they're not our bylaws.
Okay.
So it's their committees. I do have an email. There was a question about the dates. On the resolution from the last meeting, I can clarify what that was if you would like for me to.
Yeah, I think it was just when they met. But, okay, so do we have somebody appointed to, as a member, anything
Yes.
like that? Okay.
Yes.
And that is,
So I attend those meetings or quarterly meetings. Yes.
okay.
Mhm.
All right, thank you.
Are you asking?
I'm ready to move.
We'll go ahead and entertain a motion to approve the resolution, the Fort Bragg Regional Land Use and Advisory, or the RULAC amendments. Alderman Palacios,
All right, I make a motion, we approve the amendments to RULAC.
Alderwoman Cooper.
I second that motion.
The motion has been moved and properly seconded. Is there any discussion? All in favor? Any opposed? The motion has passed. We have to approve the resolution for Fort Bragg Land Use Plan with RULAC. All right, we will now go to public comments. Did I miss one?
Discussion.
I was ready. I'm ready, guys. Agenda item 7B, discussion of the town committees. Alderman Palacios.
Thank you, Madam Mayor and Board. The reason I'm bringing this up today to your attention is to make the town aware and to make you all aware of our various boards and to advise Spring Lake citizens of vacancies that the town has. The Spring Lake citizens may be interested in serving in. Essentially, this town needs help. And this new board is asking the citizens of Spring Lake for their help in giving the town a fresh start. The town manager and the clerk and some members of the board in the next month are participating in education programs to learn how to better operate with, communicate with, and educate our town's different committees. The town has 6 committees whose purposes vary. All of these committees, all but one of these committees have open seats for citizens who want to volunteer their time, share their ideas, advise the mayor and aldermen, and execute their vision towards making Spring Lake better. So I'm going to briefly go over some of these committees and their openings. We have the Board of Adjustments, who meet rarely, but they meet based on appeals made that need to be heard. There are 3 empty seats of their 5 seats. I did get confirmation of the 2 members and spoke to them, and they are continued. They do have continued interest in serving in those roles. So again, we have 3 empty seats for the Board of Adjustment. They help with anything doing with adjustments to zoning, conditional permits, things like that. Next is our Minimum Housing Appeals Board. Now that we have code enforcement that's coming back, and our inspections department is, going to be ramping up their efforts. This board has 0 members right now. 5 empty seats of 5, and they meet only when there is a case to be heard. They appeal. This is for hearing appeals about the decisions from the inspections department. We have our Community Appearance Committee, 6 empty seats of 9. We have 3 members, and we have a staff liaison. I spoke to Ms. Haley, who is the chair. She says that the Community Appearance Committee has not lost their zeal, and I quote, end quote, but they are not going to be meeting until the springtime, so I'm guessing March. And they help with community cleanups, they help with yards of the month, those kind of things. Our Military and Veteran Affairs Advisory, they have 7 empty seats of 9. Their purpose is to work with the town to promote the welfare and recognition of veterans, active service members, and their families. They organize events and activities. Our Recreation Advisory Board, they have 2 empty seats at this time that I know of. They're one of our most active committees. They work with meeting with the rec director regarding programs for the town. We have our, last but not least, our Senior Enrichment Program Advisory Committee. They have 5 members. They have 2 open seats, but those seats are likely going to close soon. There are applications for that committee that are going to be coming before the board on the 24th, the meeting for the 24th, for us to review. Anybody have any questions, any comments? What are your thoughts?
Alderman Lackman.
This is to the audience that is here and also out there on YouTube. You all asked us to step up and to take this great town of Spring Lake in a direction that will improve this town. All right. So with that, we need your help and support as well. In order to make this town better, it takes involvement. Jerry, it takes other people out there to hold us accountable, to work with us, to be the eyes and ears. You are the people to see something, you should say something. So that I am tasking you that if you are interested in being a member of one of these committees, please step forward and join this direction of bettering Spring Lake.
Thank you. Alderwoman Cooper.
Thank you. I did want to just say that I think we also need to take a look at the different bylaws for the different committees and see where we need to change some things, and also appoint liaisons. We need, but the liaison, staff liaison, and an ex officio board member needs training on how to properly conduct the meetings of the boards and committees. So I think that's one of the things we need to take up.
Any other questions, comments? Alderman Palacios.
All right, closing comments on this. So if you are interested, on our town website, you can grab an application for these committees, submit them to our town clerk, and she'll share them with the board so that we can get these seats filled with appropriate people. Once you're approved, you'll take an oath for that committee, and you know this is a voluntary, so you wouldn't get paid anything, but your involvement is more important than that to this community. Thank you.
Absolutely.
Done.
Okay.
Thought it was on still.
No. Okay, if there aren't any, if there's no more discussion, we will move on to public comments. Remember, your comments are limited to 3 minutes per person, and we will start with Mr. Frank Alexander. When you come to the podium, will you please state your name and address, please, for the record?
My name is Frank Alexander, and I live at 714 Regina Drive here in Spring Lake. I haven't done any public speaking in quite a while, so please bear with me if I get off the road a little bit. A while back ago, the county came here, and we all had a meeting, and they came and showed us what some of their ideas were, and some of the structures. Not the structures meaning the buildings, some of the structures of the town itself. And I came away with an understanding that 79% of the town's properties are for residents, and 5% of the structures are for business, and only 2% of the structures are for industrial. I also understand that in the last administration, there was a problem with redevelopment or development. We had a gentleman here who wasn't beneficial to the town, and to put a fine point on it, I think we need a change of direction. Just sitting here listening to all the committees that have openings, I'm not as quite as brazen as I was thinking I was, because I would like to suggest a citizens committee on redevelopment for the town. This way, we would not have the difficulties we had with the last administration and with the loss of revenue. Because I feel that if it's a community effort, a community group, we would be looking out for the interests of the town, not lining our pockets. So what I'd be looking for is the volunteer, myself, probably with one of the members of the board, and creating such a committee to move this town forward. Because the last thing I want to do is see it end up in the side of the road, like a lot of places have ended up in the south when we haven't looked forward. And I think industrial development has got to be part of that development planning. And I have a whole bunch of ideas. When we were here with the county, some of them would be based a lot with the cooperation of the military bases in this area. And if we could find out what they need and how we could service them. We are right next door. I mean, there won't be a transportation issue. If we can go to, say, a general at Bragg and say, what's your most pressing need in 3 to 5 years? And they said, well, we need truck widgets. Well, we find out who makes truck widgets. I don't mean to cut you off, but... You know what I mean, the truck, whatever. And...
Sir, your time is at 3 minutes. The buzzer just went off. I don't mean to cut you off, but we have to make time for everyone else.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you so much, Mr. Alexander.
That's a good idea.
And we will move on to our second person, Ms. Sandra Alexander.
Kind of the same boat as he is. I haven't done too much public speaking either.
Thank you for coming out.
My problem is going to even get to an organization, much less as to how organized it is, because there's probably not too many people involved. The roads are not what I consider safe. In almost 2 years of us being here, my car is pretty close to destroyed by the roads. There's significant bumps and there's consistent accidents in the same areas, and they're not being addressed, and people are getting hurt. There's not enough education from this big to this big. Personally, if they're going to close one of the old schools, turn it into a remedial, like a thing we do little classes, charge a fee that goes back into the school. Half of it goes into the school repairing it. The other half goes into a piggy bank for emergencies. Educate all ages. There are people 40, 50, 60 that need to be updated to do the new jobs that we don't know how. There are no jobs for us. We're doing security. We're in Walmart and the little thing, hi, pleased to meet you. And at best, they're part-time jobs, and we're all living in little itty-bitty houses in poor areas. There needs to be bake sales maybe at the school and say, hey, we need this next generation from 5 to 95 to care. Now, if you have a mother unemployed and she's got her kid going to one of these schools, Fayetteville may not seem that far. Why can't they take one of the schools and take a fourth of the emergency money and build onto one of the other schools, put trailers out there, smaller classes, more specific attention to educating the children. They are our future. And we are the future too, because the older people, most of us are not retiring at 60 and 70. Most of the people, security guards I know, are almost close to 90 and they're still working and they're talking about retiring at 95.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, no kidding. Third shift, we're out there. Let's see, small trailers. Oh yeah, law enforcement. If there's more lighting and people that want to be involved with a community crime watch and more cameras, better lighting on the street, more police, protect the people that they want to go out and do something. At 60 years old, I'm not taking on 2 or 3 kids. Not happening. I would have done it at 50. I would have picked up a cane and said,
I don't want to cut you off, but
I'll
that's
just
your
crazy.
time, man.
But anyways, I'd like to leave this with all of you guys, because bake sales, you were talking about us doing it out of the goodness of our heart. I don't know about everyone else, just 2 more seconds.
If you can leave that paperwork with Melissa.
If you can pay us half of minimum wage, we need help.
Thank you. And for our final public comment will be Miss Regina Zada. Oh, do you have another write-in? I got the old.
Good evening, good evening. Thank you for allowing me to share this and welcome to each and every one of you all as our new elected board. I'm so looking forward to meeting with you and working with you. So I'm Regina Thompson Zadu. I live at 200 Scarborough Street, Spring Lake. And I have just a quick comment. One of the things that we know that's going on Monday is Martin Luther King's holiday, which is the 17th, but also it's considered National Day of Service. And the First Baptist Church and the Soul Apostolic Church is having an event at the First Baptist Church. They're having a luncheon, a day of service that I'm going to be volunteering in. As I was at their Soul for the Spirit event they had on Saturday, and they were sharing that they were going to have this on the 17th, I thought, wow, National Day of Service, what can we do? And as Mr. Aldermen Plakios were talking about the committees and the different ones I used to serve on, that's near and dear to me is the Parents Commission. And I'm just wondering the possibility of we can volunteer at some capacity to do some kind of litter sweep in Spring Lake. This town is littered with litter. It is, it's really depressing, especially when I don't know, sometimes I go the back routes and it is just so much. So I don't know what we can do. I know it's a short notice. I don't know if we can just put it on the town website, or we get some volunteers to just come out. If nothing else, I said I do my street of Scarborough. If everybody just do a little something, get a bag. The Parents Commission has bags. Miss Brown, the secretary, is back there, and I did put a call into the Miss Healy, who's the chairperson of it, if we could do something and a possibility. That's why my urgency, because it would be Monday the 17th. And on that note, I also wanted to share again, because this is like the second time I've been about this request, and that is this, as some of you all know, I'm the president of the Spring Lake Senior Citizens Club, and one of the projects that we have done about 3 years ago was to adopt a highway. And we had decided that we wanted, because we're right here on Elizabeth Street, at least the rec center, we wanted to adopt Elizabeth Street. So we passed this motion, have been ready to get our sign, pay our dues, and get that moving. Elizabeth Street is fine as we go to that way to Elizabeth's Mortuary. I think he's here tonight. But when we start going back to the trailers around this way, it is a literal dump. So I've been here before about that. I think there needs to be some communication, some talks with the management of that trailer park. I would love for us to do it as a club. You know, we have a very large club, but it is a big project. It is a maintenance project. It needs to be addressed so this won't continue to happen. So if you ever get a chance, go down Elizabeth Street with the trailer parks and just look to the right. Either left is where they live, but the right is the real dump, because they do fairly good in terms of garbage pickup and getting that on a weekly basis. But when you look this way, it is littered. So I have talked about this several times. So I'm just hoping in the future that we can continue to do litter sweeps and that we can possibly do something about the litter in town of Spring Lake. Done.
Thank you so much. You guys support the litter cleanup. We like that. We need to get you guys like some signs that's like, yes, vote yes for that. Awesome. Thank you so much to each person who signed up for public comments tonight. Oh, no, there's one more. I'm sorry. They just told me that 2 seconds ago, too. And passed me the one that you signed. Miss Deborah Atkins.
Hey y'all, my name is Deborah Atkins. I live at 616 Wellingly Circle, Spring Lake, North Carolina. I've been a long-time resident. Me and my family. I grew up here, born on Fort Bragg, raised in the military. But anyway, good evening, first ladies and first gentlemen. Welcome to the town of Spring Lake. I just have a few things here, and I know you're timing me, and I talk really fast, so listen really hard. My things of concern are probably trivial, but they're concerning to me, and I'm sure they're concerning to other people. I don't know what committee I have to get on to maybe get some things done or just put some things in you guys' heads. For example, I'm like the lights. We need lights on the overpass off Main Street. I think we've been talking about that ever since it's gotten there.
Yes, ma'am.
It's a safety thing. It's dark, and when you get ready to turn, you could miss the overpass and go down and fall down. Your car can go down there, because it happened to me one night. I was not drinking, but it almost happened one night. I turned, and I swear, it seemed like I just was about to go down on the pavement there. So we do need some lights up there. I don't know who you get with, Duke Energy, or I was told Duke Energy would have to give the okay for the lighting. So whatever needs to be done, we need to check. Definitely need to check in that. Of course, we need affordable housing. I'm talking about rentals, not so much as buying a house, affordable house. There's a lot of people can't afford a house, and maybe apartments, more affordable apartments for people, because some of these houses here are kind of, they've been around since the 60s, from my understanding. And one more thing, lighting and this is for the kids, like they were saying back there a few minutes ago, this is for the children. It would be nice if we had lights at the basketball court for the kids, because they like to extend their playing time on the basketball court. So maybe if we had lights on a timer that would come on so the kids could play maybe till 7:30, 7 o'clock or 7:30, especially in the summertime. And so they could play out there a little bit longer. And I think it would be safe because we have the police station right there, the fire station right there. And the kids will love you for it because they'll have time in the summertime to play a little bit longer. And it could be larger maybe. There's a lot of kids out there playing basketball. As you turn, you drive down and you turn, you see millions of kids out there playing basketball. They love it. And so for them, it would be nice if we, could get something better for them so they could play. And it keeps them out of trouble. I swear to God it does. It keeps them out of trouble. If they're playing basketball, they don't have time to steal or break in houses or stuff like that and everything. Okay, my time is up. I had one more, but I'll do that the next time. Okay? Okay, I'm going to give you this paper so that you can make copies.
You pass it to Ms. Hicks.
And you guys can go over it and read it. It's really good. Thank you.
I love this crowd and the support. Miss Willem Weber.
So we generally don't respond during public comment, but I was going to say I have an update on the lighting plan. We've been working on it for a while, but Duke Energy has submitted the lighting plan and their encroachment agreements or applications to DOT. So the division office was reviewing that and sending it to Raleigh. So that isn't well underway, and hopefully that installation will be coming up. But all the paperwork has been done, and they had to do a lighting plan and those types of things. So
We need to call somebody, maybe?
I'll put those in there tomorrow.
We can call them and bug them, right?
Thank you.
Thank you so much. All right, agenda item 9, closed session. I'll entertain a motion. Alderwoman Cooper?
I make a motion that we go into closed session pursuant to NCGS 143-318.11A6, personnel, NCGS 14338-38.11A3, attorney-client privilege, and NCGS 143-318.11A4, economic development.
Is there a motion, Alderman Lockman?
I second that motion.
The motion has been moved and properly second, and we will go into closed session. Oh, vote. We didn't vote. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Now we'll go into closed session. Any questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? What's wrong? All right, well, I will also entertain a motion for adjournment.
I make a motion, we adjourn.
Go ahead, Alderman Lockman.
I second that motion.
Any questions, any discussion? All in favor?